Welcome to Tennessee Court Talk. This is a podcast produced by the Administrative Office of the Courts. I'm Samantha Fisher, the Communications Director for the AOC. And today we're talking about misconceptions in the courtroom, particularly when it comes to the role of the judge. You know, TV shows are one way to learn about the law and the legal system, but they're often not an accurate portrayal of how things actually work, especially when it comes to the man or woman in the black robe. Senior Judge Don Ash is joining us today. He's also a former circuit court judge for the 16th Judicial District in Tennessee. He's here to talk to us about the top 5 misconceptions people have about judges. He has spent a lot of time in the courtroom and is ready to talk about this. Welcome, Judge Ash.
Thank you for the invitation. Thrilled to be here.
Absolutely. So I'm sure you've seen a myriad of misconceptions when folks come into the courtroom. This could be if you're serving on a jury, if you're facing criminal charges, if you're involved in some kind of civil suit. We all kind of have this image of the judge. So I think the first image we have is that the judge is all-powerful and can do whatever he or she wants in deciding a case.
Yeah, you really cannot. The legislature and our rules of evidence and civil procedure and criminal procedure give us a framework of how we should run courts. It's very similar to a baseball game. You get 3 outs, 3 strikes, 4 balls, you walk. That's what our rules, and we were required to follow those rules. A lot of people think that when you come in a courtroom, the judge is like a personality, or he fills the room or she fills the room. That's not it. Basically, I'm like an umpire. I sit up there, and listen to the presentation, apply the law and the facts together, and then I make a ruling. It's not whether I like you or don't like you, or I don't like what you're wearing or anything like that. It gives you a framework of how to operate, and I take comfort in that because it's not my personality or how I feel that day or who my friends are. It's just A, B, C, D, and I know what A, B, C, D is. So that helps me feel comfortable when I make rulings.
Judge, when you're on the bench, do you feel like it's important to talk to the people in the courtroom about that process and kind of clarify in case they're thinking it's going to go a different way?
Absolutely. I think it's really important that the judge set the tone of how that's going to be. That it's going to be a civil environment where we're going to treat people with respect. The judge is going to treat you with respect, but he or she also expects you to treat people with respect. And just setting that tone is so important. So I do that. And I also tell them what we're going to do today. This is why you're here today. And we're going to follow this pattern. And that works out well if it's a self-represented litigant or lawyers that aren't used to being in front of me. And so they kind of know how I roll. And so I like that. I think it brings judges, they call us honor. Your honor when you walk in there. And they stand up when you walk into a courtroom. They don't stand up for me, Don Ash. They stand up for our system and our third branch of government, which was created by our forefathers and all that. So it's important that we treat that with respect, have that tone in there, and people feel comfortable that they're getting their day in court.
You said that judges are really you're an umpire as a judge, but just like a baseball game, you don't go in not understanding the rules of the game, but sometimes there seems to be a misconception that a judge maybe doesn't know anything about your case and is there to listen and learn.
Yeah, that's really a big misconception. I spend a majority of my time going over files and looking at what's coming up. And so I can look at the complaint, the answer, the other documents that have been filed. And then what I do a lot of times is if I'm not clear on what the law is on that issue, I do a brief on what that law is and how it applies. So I make sure I do the exact right thing. So when my work's reviewed by the appellate courts, I can say, okay, Don looked at A, B, C, and D, just like he was supposed to. So, and once again, I get comfort in that this is the law. It's not Don's law, it's Tennessee law. And I know what that law is. I know what the facts are. I can apply it and do justice to these people.
Absolutely. Do you think there's an impression that you see the lawyers and others in the court that the judge, when he or she is sitting there, that perhaps it's an easier job?
Yeah. It's a very different job. I love practicing law. I love getting up in front of juries and arguing a case, and winning was great. But being a judge up there, it is such an important job. I think it was President Taft. He was president. After that, he got appointed to the United States Supreme Court. And the only president's ever, that's only happened one time in our history. And he said after he served in the court, it made him be a better man than he ever thought he could be. Now think about that. The President of the United States goes to court and he says, being on the court. And for me, it is such an important position. And so many people count on you to do the right thing and do justice. And if you don't, you dishonor your position. And there's nothing worse than dishonoring your position, especially if you're elected or appointed or whatever it is. So it puts you up to a higher standard. And anytime you're held to a higher standard, there's a lot of pressure on that because people expect you to do what's right. And it's not what's politically right or who I like or who I don't like or whatever. It's just going straight down the path and following what the law is.
How much do you think people take images and impressions from TV shows with judges into the courtroom and think that they're going to be, taken to task by the judge, just like Judge Judy?
Yeah, I think everybody does. I think that's the problem, or a challenge, not a problem. It's a challenge for self-represented litigants. They see that on TV or they see movies and they think, okay, this is the way court is. And it's not that way. A lot of people see TV and they think, okay, when I go to court today, the judge is going to get there and yell at my ex-spouse for what a piece of trash he or she is. That's not what the law is. It's not my determination to decide whether you're a bad person or a good person. It's my determination to follow what the law is and say, okay, what's in the best interest of this child where he or she's going to live? Or how long of a jail sentence should this person get based upon the sentencing guidelines and stuff like that? I tell people, and as a young boy, I was like in junior high, I always wanted to be a lawyer. But I can remember during spring break, I would go up to the courthouse and watch, just sit back there and watch so I could understand what was going on. And I think if more people do that, there's a lot of really good YouTube videos out there where you can watch real court in action and not play court. And I think that gives people some understanding of how important the justice system is and how it actually works.
Do you ever get used to the weight of the role of being a judge and as you interpret the law and the case before you, the effect that it's going to have on the lives of the people?
Yeah, it bothers you. I did criminal law in the 16th Judicial District for about 8 or 9 years. Did civil before that. I was talking to somebody one day and they go, you know how long you've sent people to prison for? I go, no. I said, I don't know, 1,000 years, because I did for 8 years now, 2,000 cases a year. And they had calculated, and they said, let's see, 18,000 years. Can you imagine? And these people are sitting, not all of them, some people just do a year, but there are people up there that I've sent to prison for life. And when you say that, they go, well, you didn't do it, they did it. But still, I think about that person sitting in a jail cell, and they're thinking about me, that I'm the one who did that to them. But then I also think, and this is the positive part of the job, I think if I can bring any comfort to the victims or the victim's family, and they know they got justice in that courtroom, that's a fantastic feeling. And I've had people in my career come up to me. My daughter had a baby at the hospital up here probably 5 or 6 years ago. This lady came up to me, was a nurse, and she says, you probably don't remember me. And I go, I'm sorry, ma'am, I don't. She said, my son was abused by a party here in Murfreesboro. You were the judge on it. And you were so compassionate to my son and to me as we were going through this process. And I just want to tell you, he's doing great. And I just want to thank you for that.
Oh,
I mean, I carry that joy with me. So yeah, with the weight, there's a weight, but there's also a joy that comes with it if you take that in.
That's an important balance to strike. I'm so glad you shared that. We're coming up on number 5, but just to recap, judges are not all powerful. They are often very prepared for your case. It's a very difficult job, and it's not going to be like you see on TV typically.
No.
Number 5 might be the most important. There tends to be, and especially I think in the current environment that we're living in, an idea that the party affiliation, the political party affiliation of the judge is going to influence how that judge handles daily business. This judge is a Republican or this judge is a Democrat, and we have to run for office here in Tennessee.
Yeah, it's not great. It's different between the federal system and the state system because in the federal system, you're appointed for life. The state system, you have to run. And in Tennessee, we run in partisan races. I disagree with that. I don't think you should run in a partisan race as a judge, because when you walk in, I don't go, okay, are you a Democrat or a Republican or an independent? Or I don't say, do you go First Baptist Church? Are you a Muslim? We don't ask those questions. It's all about being fair to people and justice. When you put that robe on, you take off any party affiliation or anything, any personal feeling. And that makes it easy, because then you're not going, well, today if I go this way, I may not get reelected. Good judges don't care if they get reelected. Good judges say, I'm going to follow the law. Let the chips fall where they may.
Thank you, Judge Ash. Any closing thoughts or comments about being a judge and what you hope people know about that?
Yeah, it's been one of the great blessings of my life. As I said, I get comfort in making the correct rulings. I like that. I like following the law, and I like applying the facts. And for me, I've got to teach at the National Judicial College, meet all kinds of judges from across the country. Done that for 20 years. I ran a drug court here in Murfreesboro for 14 years. Made me understand that addiction is a disease. It doesn't mean you're a weak person. I got to help develop the Tennessee parenting plan. When I'm gone, I would like my family and friends and grandchildren to look back and go, he was an honorable man who cared about his job and honored his position. So if I can do that, I think I will have achieved what I needed to achieve in this life.
Well said. Thank you, Judge Ash. I appreciate your time and your service to the state.
Yeah, well, I appreciate you doing this. It's really important that citizens in our state understand the legal system and the judiciary.
Thank you, Judge Ash, for your time and your service. And thank you for listening to Tennessee Court Talk. Listen to Tennessee Court Talk wherever you listen to podcasts, and you can find more information about the Tennessee court system on tncourts.gov.